It was just a form, one of 100. But when I saw who signed it, my chest went cold. Filed by Mason Kavanaugh, co-owner Reid Halpern. No mention of me, not even once. They trademarked my name, my brand, the thing I built from nothing. And they did it behind my back. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of silence before. Not outside, inside me. Where in the world are you listening from? If this story hits close to home, subscribe. I started wick and woven in my garage. The floors were cracked. The walls always smelled like old pine, but it was mine. First batch of candles took me 3 months. I burned through 3 pots. Set off the smoke alarm twice. But I figured it out, one scent at a time. Cedar, bergamot, amber, scents that made people feel something. Warmth, safety, home. I sold at farmers markets, then online, then wholesale. I didn't grow fast, but I grew steady. That's when Mason came in. We met at a bookstore. He was in the legal section reading something about trademark law. We talked about coffee, then books, then business. He was calm, easy to talk to, and he liked that I had my own thing. At least, that's what I thought. We dated a year before moving in together. He made tea every morning, took out the trash, folded towels the way I liked. He also asked a lot of questions about how I set up my LLC, about where I stored product files, about who owned the copyright to my brand story. I didn't think too much of it. He was a lawyer. That's just how his brain worked. He said it was romantic that I built something from scratch. He said he admired it. We got engaged last fall. Simple ring, 1 candlelit dinner. That night, he said we should clean up the back end before wick and woven got too big. I nodded. I trusted him. Then came Reid. Mason said he was a close friend, old college buddy, media consultant. I said, okay. Reid showed up in leather boots, wore 3 rings, and called me Queen of Candles. I laughed. It was awkward, but fine. He asked a lot of questions too, about margins, supply chain, which scents sold best in Q4. I remember thinking, why does he care? Mason said Reid might help us scale smart. Said he had great ideas for marketing. I didn't want a team. I liked being small, hands-on, real. But I also didn't want to argue, so I said, sure, let's hear what he has to say. They started showing up at my studio more, asking about packaging vendors, asking about wholesale pricing tiers. Mason said it was just research. Reid said I was sitting on a gold mine. I didn't like that word, gold mine. This wasn't gold, it was wax and soul. But I smiled, because that's what you do when the man you love says he's just trying to help. Reid stopped by one morning with coffee. I brought you your favorite, he said. Extra cinnamon. I didn't remember ever telling him that, but I took the cup anyway, smiled, out of habit. He walked around the studio like he owned it, picked up a sample jar, held it to the light. Amber Drift, he read. This one feels like fall in a glass house. I didn't know if it was a compliment. I just nodded. He kept talking, something about pop-ups, QR codes, brand refresh. Then he said it. We've been thinking maybe it's time to tighten the legal side, make it investor ready. I looked up. He smiled. Mason and me, just a few adjustments, nothing big. I set the candle down, tried to keep my voice even. What kind of adjustments? He shrugged. Trademark renewals, some cleanup on the ownership filings. Stuff you probably already have, but better to make it airtight. I felt my stomach dip. I thought Mason was already handling that. He is. But he asked me to look into a couple things. Extra set of eyes. The way he said it like they'd been talking a lot more than I knew. I wiped wax from the edge of a tin. I'm okay keeping things how they are. It's been working. Reid didn't argue, didn't push, just smiled again. Of course. Just let us know if you want help. Mason said you've got a lot on your plate. He left after that, tipped his coffee cup in a mock toast. Keep making magic, Candle Queen. I stood there for a while, hands still on the table. The cinnamon in the cup suddenly felt too sweet. That night, Mason brought it up again. Reid mentioned you were hesitant, he said. I nodded. I just don't want outside hands on the brand. You trust me, right? His voice was soft, warm. I hated that I did. Of course. Then trust that I'm only trying to protect you. This stuff gets messy. Let me help. He kissed the side of my head, held my hand across the couch, and I let it go, just like that. Every month I got the same email, a little ping. Your trademark status is active. Next review 12 months. It always came from the same address, my lawyer's office in Bangor. Simple, reliable. Until it didn't. It was late April when I realized. I was cleaning out old receipts, sorting candle dye inventory, and suddenly thought, wait. I checked my inbox, nothing. Checked spam, trash, archives. Still nothing. I searched Trademark. Only thing that came up was an email from a company I'd never seen before. Halpern & Co. Legal Management. I clicked. The language was too polished, too distant. Confirmation of transfer request submitted on March 4th. Pending update to primary account holder. I froze. I didn't request anything, and I didn't know this firm. But the name, Halpern. My chest tightened. I forwarded the email to Mason. He replied 2 minutes later. Hey babe, don't worry, Reid and I filed a temporary holding form, just to lock things down before the rebrand. I stared at the screen. No call, no warning, just done. I texted. When were you going to tell me? He wrote back, I thought we agreed you didn't want to handle the paperwork stuff. You said it stressed you out. I didn't remember saying that, at least not like that. I looked at the name again. Halpern & Co. Of course he named the company after himself. Of course it sounded real. I picked up the phone, called my old lawyer. Did someone file a transfer on my behalf? I asked. There was a pause, a rustle of papers. No, we sent out your monthly notice like always. Did you not get it? No, I said quietly. I didn't. He sighed. I'd check if anyone changed your contact info. We've had some clients get spoofed lately. I thanked him, hung up, then opened my inbox again, typed in my name, my brand name. Nothing official, just a PDF from Reid labeled W&W Vision 2024. I opened it. First page. Ownership model proposal. Co-director Mason Cavanaugh, co-director Reid Halpern. My name wasn't anywhere. Not on the title, not on the footer, not even in creative lead. Just gone. Mason asked if I could join a meeting. Just a casual pitch, he said. Reid set it up. Some folks from Boston who invest in lifestyle brands. I hesitated. I'm not really into pitching. You don't have to say much, he said, pulling me close. They just want to see the face behind the brand. That sounded nice, important even. So I went. The office space was rented. Glass walls, cold chairs, smelled like lemon disinfectant. Reid was already there in a navy suit that looked 2 sizes too tight. He winked when I walked in. Glad you could make it, he said. We're almost set. I sat next to Mason. He smiled but didn't take my hand. Then the slideshow started. Wick and woven, Reid said, clicking through slides. Born in the heart of Maine, now poised to scale beyond regional. Photos of my candles filled the screen, my packaging, my home studio. But my name was nowhere. Who's your creative director? One investor asked. Reid cleared his throat. We're building out that team, but most of the vision comes from our roots. Mason and I share a deep love for slow living. I turned to Mason. He didn't look at me. Another investor asked, so which of you started this? Mason laughed. It kind of evolved. I helped formalize it. Reid brought in the scaling strategy. And me? I was just sitting there, like an intern, like someone who tagged along for the free coffee. No one asked me a single question. No one said my name. No one noticed. At the end, they clapped politely, shook hands. You've got something special, one woman said to Reid. Your brand has a real soul. His brand. I left without saying a word. In the parking lot, Mason caught up. You okay? He asked. I nodded, but my jaw was locked. You didn't say anything in there. I wasn't invited to, I said. He paused. I thought you wanted me to handle this part. I looked at him, really looked, and something in me pulled back. It came in a manila envelope, no return address, just my name typed in stiff black ink, S. Whitaker. Inside, a printed copy of a public filing, trademark application, case number, date, filed by Cavanaugh and Halpern Holdings, LLC, mark name, Wick and Woven. Applicants, Mason Cavanaugh, Reid Halpern. No mention of me, not even in the original creator section. I read it 3 times, then a 4th, each time slower. They used my brand, my name, my formula, and submitted it as theirs. The date of filing, March 4th, weeks ago. The same week Mason brought me flowers for being so supportive. The same day Reid texted, big moves ahead, Queen. We got you. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just sat there holding the page, feeling my hands go numb. There was a small post-it attached. Someone had written, you didn't hear it from me. That's all. I checked the case number online. It was real, already in review. I called Mason. No answer. Called again, straight to voicemail. So I texted, what is this? No reply. Just the little gray delivered dot mocking me. An hour later, I got a message from Reid. Hey, we meant to loop you in this week. Just securing the legal end before investor talks. All good. Trust us. Trust, that word, it used to mean something soft. Now it felt like a threat. I sat on the kitchen floor. The room smelled like burnt wax. One of my test candles had overheated. I didn't move, not for a while. They did it. They really did it. Behind my back, with my name and no shame, I stayed on the kitchen floor until the candle burned out. The wick sputtered once, then died. No scent, no light, just air. I picked up the papers again, held them under the light. Notarized, signed, stamped. This wasn't an accident. This was intention. I walked to the back room, pulled out my old business box, the one I hadn't touched in years. Inside, receipts from the first craft fair, a Polaroid of my first table setup, the LLC certificate with my name alone. No holdings, no partners, just me. I ran my fingers over the paper. It was warped in one corner. Water damage. Probably from that year the roof leaked. I never fixed it. Hadn't mattered. Back then no one believed wick and woven would last. Not my landlord, not the bank. But I did. I remembered that night in the garage. No heat, one lamp, and a batch of candles so uneven I cried. Then I laughed, because they still smelled like home. That was the first time I said it out loud. This is mine. Now 2 men who never poured wax were calling it theirs. No, not anymore. I folded the paper, put it back in the box, closed the lid, and with it every soft part of me that still wanted to believe this was a misunderstanding. It wasn't, and I wasn't waiting for them to admit it. The first thing I did was get quiet. No more questions, no more texts, no more what is this? I made tea, sat with a notepad, and wrote 3 names. Mason Kavanaugh, Reid Halpern, Wick and Woven. Then I opened my laptop, searched the USPTO site, searched every variation of their names, searched trademark classes they might miss. Reid had filed W&W under lifestyle goods, but he hadn't touched consulting or legal advising. Mason forgot to register his own name under any brand protections, even though he was using it in his proposals. Sloppy, I emailed my old lawyer, the one who used to handle my early filings, asked if she had an hour. Need to lock something down, I wrote. She replied in 5 minutes, come in tomorrow. That night I let Mason cook dinner. He brought out salmon, lit a candle, one of mine. Rough day, he asked. I smiled. Just tired. He kissed my forehead. You're amazing. Everything's going to pay off soon. I nodded. I know. The next morning I wore gray, tied my hair back. No makeup, no jewelry. I wanted to feel sharp, not beautiful, not soft. My lawyer's office still smelled like citrus cleaner. She poured me coffee. Sat across with a legal pad. I slid over my notes. I want to trademark these, I said. Quickly, discreetly, under my name. She looked at the list, brows lifted. Are you anticipating a dispute? No, I said. It's already happening. She nodded once, didn't ask more. We filed 5 marks that day. 2 for my brand, 3 for theirs. Their names, their proposed company, even Reid's fake firm, Halpern & Co. I filed it under a different class. One they didn't see coming. She stamped the paperwork. That's everything she said. Not quite. I pulled out 2 envelopes. I want these mailed certified, 1 to each of them, with copies of the filings. No warning, just delivery confirmation. My lawyer smiled. You want them to find out the hard way. I didn't smile back. I want them to know I saw it coming and got there first. I didn't call them, didn't bring it up. I waited. 2 days later, Mason texted me. Hey, want to do dinner at Reid's? He wants to talk rollout timelines. Rollout, like I wasn't the one who started it all. I replied, sure, sounds good. He sent back a heart emoji. That Friday I brought wine, wore soft clothes, baked bread. Made myself small, easier to ignore, easier to underestimate. Reid opened the door. Candle queen, he beamed. You're glowing tonight. I smiled, just happy to be included. He poured me wine. Talked about Instagram campaigns, product packaging, and some influencer named Liv. Mason nodded along, said things like synergy and next phase alignment. They used big words, but none of them smelled like wax. I mostly listened, pretended to write notes, laughed at Reid's jokes. Midway through, Mason put a hand on my leg. You okay? I nodded. I think I just needed to let go. He smiled, leaning in, kissing my cheek. She's coming around, Reid said, like I wasn't even there. Honestly, Mason added, it's better this way. She gets to keep her artistry. We scale the brand. And we protect her, Reid said, legally, financially, emotionally. They toasted, actually toasted. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, closed the door, washed my hands in cold water, looked at my reflection. No tears, no fear, just stillness. On the counter, a stack of mail. One envelope had my name, spelled wrong. Sloane Whitaker. I almost laughed. When I came back, they'd moved on to logo redesign. Reid showed me a sketch. The letters, twisted into gold foil script. We're thinking royal but natural, he said, like Martha Stewart meets Goop. I stared at the paper. It's beautiful, I said. I can't wait to see where you take it. They both smiled. Mason squeezed my hand, and I squeezed back. The envelopes arrived on a Tuesday, one to Mason's office, one to Reid's co-working space, downtown. Both were signed for, both marked time sensitive. I didn't hear anything for 24 hours. Not a text, not a call. Then Thursday morning, 8:06 a.m. Mason, what did you do? I didn't reply. 10:12 a.m. Reid called. I let it ring. He left a voicemail. Hey, just saw the filings. Not sure if this is a mix-up. Call me when you can. I didn't. Instead, I posted a photo. A single candle, lit, black background, caption, protected TM. Within an hour, Darla, my wholesale partner, texted finally. So proud of you. The next day, a letter showed up at my door. Hand-delivered, no stamp, just tucked inside the door frame. Inside, a cease and desist. Signed by Mason, typed by Reid. It claimed I was infringing on their proprietary brand elements. I laughed out loud, the first real laugh in weeks. I took a photo of the letter, sent it to my lawyer. She replied, they're panicking, want to respond. I said, not yet, let them sweat. That weekend I ran a pop-up stall alone. No Mason, no Reid, just me, my table, and the wax I still poured by hand. A woman came by, picked up a tin. I love that you stayed small, she said. Feels like it means more that way. I nodded, every wick still lit by me. Sunday evening I got a final message. Reid, you blindsided us. We trusted you. I stared at the words, then deleted them. Trust doesn't mean letting someone steal quietly. Trust means calling it what it is before it's too late. And by the time they noticed, it already was. The venue was small, industrial chic, exposed brick Edison bulbs, and a soft lavender scent in the air. Reid insisted on it. This is the perfect rebrand reveal, urban calm baby. I stood near the back holding a glass of water, hands steady, heart cold. Mason hadn't spoken to me all week, just one text, you're really doing this. I didn't respond. Guests arrived slowly. Buyers, influencers, old clients, people I used to pour candles for by hand. Reid bounced from group to group, shaking hands, winking, tossing around phrases like artisan evolution and heritage-forward storytelling. He wore a pale pink suit, no socks, too much cologne. Mason stayed near the drinks table, avoided eye contact. At 6:10 p.m., Reid clapped his hands. Everyone, if I could have your attention. The room quieted. I want to welcome you to the next chapter of Wick & Woven, a vision that started from humble wax and now shines nationwide. He gestured toward the screen. A video started slow-motion clips of candles, flickering hands pouring wax sunset fields. My hands, my home, my table, but still no mention of me. Reid smiled wider. We're proud to announce our new direction, backed by Kavanaugh and Halpern Holdings. Guided by legacy, elevated by vision. I took one step forward, then another, until I reached the front. Reid blinked, his voice faltered. Sloane? Everything okay? I nodded. Just wanted to say something. I turned to the crowd. My name is Sloane Whitaker. I'm the founder of Wick & Woven. This company was built in my garage with burned fingers and borrowed hope. A pause. I'm no longer affiliated with Kavanaugh and Halpern Holdings. A few heads turned. I remain the sole registered owner of the brand name, the product lines, and all associated trademarks. Reid laughed, forced. Okay, that's enough, Sloane. We talked about this. We didn't, I said. You filed without my knowledge. You tried to erase me. I reached into my bag, pulled out a folder, held it high. These are the active filings. Dates, confirmations, stamped by the U.S. Patent Office, all in my name. Someone in the back gasped. Mason still hadn't moved. Reid stepped forward, voice rising. You can't do this here. This is defamation. No, I said calmly. This is correction. He tried to grab the folder. I pulled it back. You filed your names under my work. I filed your names under mine. Silence. Then a few chuckles. Nervous, delighted. Someone whispered, she trademarked them. I nodded. Preemptive protection. A man in a suit raised his hand. Just to clarify, are you saying they no longer have legal rights to use Wick & Woven? I looked him in the eye. They never did. Reid's face turned red, then white. Mason finally stepped forward, voice low. She's telling the truth. Reid spun around. What? She filed first. We didn't check. Reid's jaw clenched. You let her? I underestimated her, Mason said. Another pause. Longer this time. Then Reid turned to me. You're gonna regret this. I smiled. Already did. Now I'm just cleaning up. He stormed out, knocked over a display table on the way. Candles rolled across the floor. A few shattered. The room smelled like orange peel and firewood. I didn't flinch. Someone clapped, then another, then the whole room. Not loud, not wild, but enough. Mason stayed behind. He walked up slowly, eyes tired. You won. I shook my head. No, I reclaimed. He opened his mouth, closed it again, then walked out. I stood in the silence that followed. Not triumphant, just clear. The lavender in the air smelled different now, calmer. The event ended early. Nobody stayed for the drinks. By 7:15, the place was nearly empty, except for 2 buyers who lingered by the shelves, asking if they could order directly from me now. I smiled, took their cards, wrote thank you on the back. On the way home, I drove the long route past the pier, past the street where Mason first kissed me, past the print shop, where I used to pick up labels. The city looked the same, but I didn't. I got home, peeled off my jacket, sat on the rug. The air still smelled like the lavender Reid insisted on diffusing. Faint now, fading. I turned off my phone, lit one of my first candles, a lopsided jar with a crooked label. It flickered like it was proud of me. There was a knock at the door. I didn't move, didn't speak. Then the knock again. I stood, looked through the peephole. It was Mason, holding something. I opened the door just enough. He held out a small box, inside the ring. I figured you'd want this back, he said. I looked at it, then at him. No, I said. I think you need the reminder more than I do. He opened his mouth, closed it, then turned and walked away. I didn't rebuild overnight. I didn't even want to. I just needed quiet. Real quiet. Not the silence that follows betrayal, but the kind that lives in early mornings before the world asks anything of you. I moved back into my old rhythm. Small batches, handwritten labels. No more advisors, no more pitch decks. Just jars and wax and matches. The garage still smelled like pine. A little mustier than I remembered. But it felt right, like the past forgiving me for trying to outgrow it too fast. I sanded the old shelves, repainted the table, hung a single photo the first market I ever sold at. I looked terrified in it, but also alive. Orders came in slow, then steady, then more. A woman from Arizona ordered 5 of the same scent, said it reminded her of her grandmother. A man in Vermont sent me a note thanking me for not selling out. I smiled more, slept better, ate real meals. Sometimes I wondered what Mason told people, or if Reid ever tried to spin it as some creative difference. Didn't matter, not anymore. The people who mattered never left. My lawyer sent me a card on my birthday. It said some trademarks are invisible, like self-respect. I kept it on my desk. This wasn't just about candles. It never was. It was about keeping your name when someone tries to rewrite your story without asking. If someone ever tried to cut your name out, I see you. If you've ever been the quiet one in the room watching someone else speak for your work, I know that feeling. Where in the world are you listening from tonight? Tell me below. And if this story lit something in you, even just a little, subscribe. You're not alone.